that in the same way that this seed, when it is watered with the rainwater and given the sunlight, it ascends and it seeks to go to that which is high and sublime. Likewise, the heart, which is watered with the seeds of love and divine assistance and mercy and sustenance, this heart will then grow in order to seek the divine and that which is beyond it and superior to it. And so, in this particular way, the heart will continue to lean in affection to the divine presence. And the rays of the intellect of such a human being will shake in an increasing contemplation upon the greatness of the divine. When the plant grows and sprouts from the earth, it begins to wrap itself around anything it can wrap. And so likewise, the heart, when it's given the nourishment of divine love and spiritual assistance from God, then it can seek to attach itself to that which is firm. And God also says in another verse, and cling tightly to the rope of Allah, of God. And so there is a rope of God which has been sent down from the heavens in the form of the Quran and in the form of the guidance of the one who brought the Quran, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And so such a heart, in its infancy, if it holds on and it clings on to those things which are constant and not variable, they're not going to change, because God himself is the eternal and he doesn't change, and infinite. So this will grant contemplation upon the greatness of the divine. And then what happens? He brings forth the living from the dead, and it is he who brings forth the dead from the living. That is your God, how then are you turned back? He causes the break of day, and has made the night for rest, and the sun and the moon the means for reckoning time. Before the sun of Gnosis dawns upon the heart of the human being, the sun of the knowledge of the divine and the knowledge of the Creator, then until this point, there will be no light and there will be no life to such a heart. And so, after the darkness of the night of human existence, when a human is divorced from the divine, a human is divorced from his origin, then he continues to live life in the evening and the darkness of human existence, divorced from divinity. Such a person will wait until the sun of knowledge of God dawns upon his heart, such that it allows the heart to sprout with life. And so, in this way, he will gain life by his gnosis of his Lord. After he was dead, but his death was what? He wasn't dead physically, because such a person was moving around and walking and talking and studying, and going to university and going to work and undertaking a career and profession and bringing up a family. Such a person was physically alive. But when the heart itself is divorced from the one who gives life, he is al-muhyi and al-mumit, as God says in other places in the Quran. He is the granter of life and the giver of death. So the one who is disconnected from the one who gives life, then how can he have life? And the one who is divorced from the one who is eternal, who has life without end, then how can such a person seek life and claim life in their particular existence? And so therefore, after the human being was dead, how are they dead? By two qualities. One quality of ignorance. Ignorance of what? I was a mathematician, I was a professor, I was an expert in this particular science and in this particular science of humanities and fields. And I was a person who would do this and this, and anything you ask me, I'll know the answer. He was knowledgeable. But about the all-knowledgeable, he was ignorant. Who is the all-knowledgeable? The one that sees my secret and my public, my night and my day, my youth and my adulthood and my old age. If the person has an ignorance about the one who has all knowledge, then he is ignorant. And so such a person's death, whilst he was on the surface of this earth, why did it occur? Because he had ignorance. And the second quality which caused him death was heedlessness, in that he didn't pay any attention. And so the plant, as a seed, who pays no attention to the water, and who does not seek to be sustained and given nourishment and food by the water and by the fertilizer and by the sun, they will not grow. And so likewise the heart, who when the water and the rain of spiritual assistance comes, and the reminder of the sun comes through divine knowledge, they reject it, then such a person will be like this seed who rejected its physical assistance and therefore be unable to grow. And so once a person is given this divine assistance, God will then annihilate them from witnessing their own selves. And so the seed no longer grows on its own accord, but it realizes that there is a superior, supreme being that takes care of its progress. And so this revival of the human being is then taken from one where a person witnesses his own self only, and I'm the doer of my actions. I did 1, 2, and 3, and therefore the result is 4. And I studied such and such, and therefore I have such and such knowledge. And I have now so many children, and therefore I am a father. A person who attributes all of their actions to their own self, then if God has given them this divine assistance and sustenance through giving life to their hearts, then He'll take them away and annihilate them from the witnessing of their own selves to witnessing the divine and God in all of their actions and in all of their existence. Such that one comes to a realization, as God says in another part of the Quran, He created you and that which you do, meaning you as a human being, and your deeds and actions which you perform are created by God. So you are no longer the creator of your own actions. You are no longer the creator and the one who directs your own affairs, but rather there is a divine being who directs your own affairs. But then you come and you say, well, if this divine being directs my own affairs, then how is it that I can choose between this and that? It is God that has given the individual the faculty of this choice. And He has given him the ability to distinguish between one path and the next. And so this itself is all from the divine sustenance and the divine generosity. And then the good that you do, one attributes this good to God. And the bad that you do, even though God created it out of manners with God, one attributes the bad to their own evil oppression and their own sin. And this is the best of manners that a person has with the one who originated the heavens and the earth. He says then, He causes the break of day and has made the night for rest. He has made the night of servitude a rest, they say. He has made the night a rest. You go out, you do your work during the day, and in the night you rest in order to regain your energy for the next day's work or the next day's study. And so God has made the night of servitude a rest. And if the human being realize what it means to be a servant of God, their entire life becomes a night and it becomes a rest. No longer do they experience any difficulty or any anxiety, any stress or any worry, because the night becomes a night of servitude. And the servant who loves their master, anything that their master will call them to do, they will feel, I can always do more. And they will not feel the difficulty and the anxiety and the intention or the desire to steer away from the commandments of their Lord. Why? Because they have this love for their master. And so the servant who has a love for the master will love to obey. You can take this example in any of your work. If you love your manager or your team leader, anything they say for you to do, you will do it. But if you've got a problem with your manager, you just don't like them, you don't like the way they look, you don't like their name, you don't like their voice, you don't like where they come, anything about them you don't like. Any simple thing that they ask you to do, you'll feel it's difficult and it's heavy. And they're trying to get you to move mountains, but it may be just things, can you get me the pen? But you just don't like them. So the servant of God who loves God, then anything that God instructs him to do, he will do with open arms and he will even want to do more. And so likewise, in your existence of the physical realm, when you go out, you perform that which is instructed, but you don't stop there. You do even more. And so if the boss says, look, today I want you to have sales of $1,000, you go and you do 2,000. You go, you put the extra work out there, and then you'll get an extra reward from your boss. And so likewise, there are certain things which are obligatory to do before the divine, and then there are those things which are voluntary and extra. And those who perform the obligatory and then do the extra, then God has an increase in bounty and in reward. And so He made the night of servitude a rest. And so the individual who lives this life as a life of servitude, that I'm a created being. And I am not the servant of my own lusts and my own desires, and my own human passions and desires, but I'm a servant of the one that created me and that created my desires and the desires of all of humanity. Then such a person will live a life of freedom, a life of liberty and liberation, a life where he is no longer bound by this person or that, or this created being or the other creature, but rather he is bound by the one who created all beings and all creatures, and his name is God, or his name is Allah, or the divine, or the supreme being. And so he made the night of servitude a rest, and the sun of gnosis and the moon of faith a means of reckoning time. This is an inner interpretation of a particular verse in the Quran which we recited. He causes the break of day and has made the night for rest, and the sun and the moon the means for reckoning time. People use the sun as a means for reckoning time, and they also use